Good morning, my name is Aaron Houghton and welcome to Morning Prime. This is my personal morning priming session that I do every day myself, and once a week now I'm sharing it with the world so that we can do this session together. So thank you so much for joining me today. Morning Prime is all about getting my mind and my body calm, positive, and prepared as I start my day. I think many of us find that if you take a moment to think about how you feel in the morning when you first rise out of bed, or maybe 15 to 20 minutes into your day as you're starting to think about your to-do list, that we don't always bring the most calm or the most positive or the most prepared state of mind with us out of sleep from the night before. Instead, we wake up feeling a little bit of tension related to something that occurred in the previous day, or maybe something that we dreamed about during the night, or we just carry the same tension through that we had before. And so Morning Prime is about resetting back down to levels that allow us to be creative and patient and emotionally connected with people, and to not be irritable as we so often can get as busy entrepreneurs that are charging ahead on our plans to try and have an impact on the world. So I'm going to share first today the 10 clearing breaths tool that I often start out with. So if you've joined us before, you're familiar with this. Go ahead and get your feet flat on the floor, comfortably in a position where you can close your eyes if you're sitting in a chair. I like to sit on the edge of the chair so my back can be straight and in the air, but you can lounge back, that's fine too. I think just having a bit of a straight back helps with this process of breathing in and kind of letting everything go. So kind of the breath coming in vertically and then letting it all go back down towards the ground as we relax on the out breath again. So a clearing breath is a medium speed breath in. It's not super restricted. We're not trying to create, extra sound or energy with the breath or restrict it in any way, but we're breathing into the top of the lungs. We're holding for just a half second so we can feel a little bit of the tension of holding the breath at the top, and then we just let it go. So we're not pushing the breath out fast. We're not trying to exaggerate it or slow it down, but instead, like a balloon that's popped, we're just letting all the air just release out as we let go of any tension in our shoulders and any tension in our minds as well. The goal is to repeat this a couple times over and over, and I like to do 10 as part of my morning priming session, but you can do 3 clearing breaths or 5 clearing breaths or 10 clearing breaths throughout the day when you need it. And I think it's a great tool to use when you're also shifting between activities during the day. Just finished an intense phone call, need to go have a meeting with a team member where you need to be empathetic and be able to listen and have emotional intelligence. You've got to get back to calm and get out of your own head before you can do that. And this is a great way to do that really, really quickly. So let's do these together. I'm going to lead us through them. So first breath in, breathe in. You can close your eyes if you're comfortable doing that. Hold at the top and let it go. And just relax everything away as the breath comes out. Breathe in again. Hold and release. Breathing in. Half second hold and release. Breathing in. Half second hold and release. Breathing in again. Half second hold and let it go. If you haven't already, take your hands and flip them so that your palms are up when they're sitting on your legs. You can also hang your hands off to the side and just let them hang, that's fine too. But if they're resting on your legs, go ahead and put your palms up. It's a way to signify to the mind that everything is okay. We're not in this tense sort of position where we're trying to protect ourselves and be safe, but instead we're really open to the possibilities of everything around us, which means we're not scared. And that's a body positioning technique that tells the mind that there's really nothing to be worried about in this moment if we're willing to be this vulnerable and open our palms up and not protect our core with our arms, and to keep open and to keep an open chest and an open back. Then we're telling the world that there's really nothing to be afraid of, and our mind is picking that up too and using that as part of our relaxation. On these next breaths, I want you to tense your shoulders. So breathing, breath 6 in, At the top, just lift your shoulders up and we're gonna let them fall on the release. So hold and let it go. You can slowly drop them or just let them completely fall. This is part of this practice of letting things go, letting tension go in the body, as well as letting fear or worry or concern or even excessive excitement go, obsessive lines of thinking. And that's actually what I'm going to talk about next today. So let's breathe in, half second hold, shoulders up, and release. Breath 8 in, tension up, and release. Last 2 here. Breath 9 in. Shrug your shoulders up and release. Last one here. So bring some tension. You can even make fists out of the palms of your hands when you breathe in at the top. A little bit of tension in your forearms. Breathing in, lift the shoulders, a little bit of tension, and let it all go. Let your arms drop back down. Shoulders drop. Tension released from your forearms and from your hands. You can even wiggle your fingers around a little bit now just to feel how free and loose everything is after that last release. So when you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes. Come back to being present in the space around you. Take a deep breath in and just let it out at a normal pace. Return your breath back to a normal pace, in and out. One where you don't think about it, just let it go and let your body take over with whatever it needs. So I want to talk for a minute now about the manic stage of excitement that so many of us as entrepreneurs experience. And there's this incredible correlation from Dr. Michael Freeman's research that entrepreneurs are 11 times more likely to be bipolar than other types of professionals. It's absolutely crazy. 11 times more likely to be bipolar. 11x, not 11% more. 11 times, so 1100%. It's just absolutely incredible to think that we are that different than the general population, not just in terms of what we try and do with our businesses or maybe the way that we see the world, but our actual brains are different. And maybe that's why we see the world differently, or we're willing to take these risks that other people aren't willing to take. So I want to share from the Founder's First System workshop from our Peakability training program. This is a worksheet we use in Module 6. Module 6 is called Emotional Smoothing. And emotional smoothing is about taking these wild mood swings that we experience as entrepreneurs from nice and flat and centered, like maybe we're feeling right now after 10 clearing breaths, and this rise from level up to the manic stage where we get really excited, and we'll talk about that a little bit today. And it's oftentimes, I think, responsible for why we create our businesses in the first place, and it gets us into a little trouble, not just when we're starting, but also down the road as well. So I'm going to share a tip for doing that part of the process better as entrepreneurs, because I think this is a universal experience. So emotional smoothing in the Peakability training program is about taking those highs and trying to make them not quite as high. So as we're on this upswing, we try and identify behaviors and make a change and bring our mood back down towards center. And the second half of it is the downswing stage, which I won't talk about today, but that's when we come back down from these high highs, we come crashing back down, we pass center where we're calm and even mood, and we go crashing down into the depressive cycle. And that's where we're judging everything critically that we've created, and we feel despair and hopelessness and sadness. And that can lead to depressive states or even depression in many cases, which also leads us to make bad decisions as entrepreneurs. But I want to talk about the mania stage. And you can see here that I've checked some of the boxes at the top that relate to the kind of components of the mania stage that I experience. So for me, the elevated mood mania experience includes unusually high and optimistic mood. So feeling like I can just absolutely conquer the world, this moment of, I think I can go out and solve this problem that nobody else has ever been able to solve. I'm the person to do it. In fact, I can start right now. And you sit down maybe and start creating or designing what the future might look like. Being extremely irritable when I'm in that path and in that moment, I feel I don't want anybody to interrupt me. I don't want anybody to question the brilliance that I feel that I'm experiencing in my mind right now, this incredible optimism. I don't want to hear any of that stuff. I want to just stay focused on producing this incredible thing that I'm creating in this incredible moment. Having unrealistic or grandiose beliefs, I think that's probably critical to how so many of us started our businesses. These moments of mania-like experiences where we say, you know what, like, I can actually do this. I know exactly what it takes to get it where it needs to be, which is probably the unrealistic part of this. That I know exactly what it's going to take to get there, and all I've got to do is do it. And oftentimes when we start to discover that this optimism was, not exactly correct, and that the road from here to here is going to be all these zigzags in between as we make pivots and changes, we start to get pushed down to the bottom of the mood swing cycle. Racing thoughts, I think this is another one that's critical for me in these moments where my mind is racing. I get really excited. I think the excitement and the racing thoughts kind of reinforce each other as my mood soars up high. And then we get into the last couple pieces of this, which maybe don't feel quite as good. I think the interesting thing about the mania stage is that sometimes it feels really good. These highly optimistic thoughts are kind of like gratitude journaling on crack, where we just feel incredibly high and we don't feel like there's anything that could get in the way of what we want to do. Impulsiveness. This is one that I experience frequently when I'm in this stage, where I just make decisions quickly, acting recklessly. I think that's similar, but it's not just being impulsive, but also being impulsive around things that, I don't even check basic safety around, right? Or I don't check to make sure that I'm not going to get myself in a great deal of trouble if I go down that path. There's no self-coaching talk around, is this the right strategy? But instead I just jump in quickly and can make mistakes. I can spend money that I don't want to spend. I can bring in new partners in that I don't want to ultimately have to deal with in the long run because I'm excited in this moment. Because I think everything's going to work, and my product's going to launch in the next 10 days because I've just thought of it this morning, and it's going to be all rainbows and kittens. And then delusions. So I think that's similar to the unrealistic beliefs part and the grandiose beliefs, but the delusion side of it, I think, being just that optimism unchecked, that, I can take this thing to market. Everyone's going to love the first version of what I create. I don't need to make version 2 or version 3 or version 4. I shared a story recently in Morning Prime that my most successful product was version 4 of the iContact email marketing product that I built. And I actually only built version 1 of it. My teams built version 2, 3, and 4 and all the versions after that. And so to think that from day one and be delusional to think that first version of the product might be something that the world wanted leads to a lot of upset when you put it out there and find out that it's not quite perfect, which that's just the iterative process of business. And so in this mania stage, it gets us started. It gets our momentum moving in the right direction. But if we go too high when we're starting out, it can lead us to those huge crashes. So this is an opportunity to think about areas in your life as an entrepreneur where you feel these things. The other attributes that I didn't check on mine but are relevant to other people in this experience are sleeping very little but feeling extremely energetic, talking so rapidly that others can't keep up, being highly distractible and having impaired judgment, and even hallucinations at the extreme level. So if you've experienced any of these as an entrepreneur, you're in good company. We're 11 times more likely to be bipolar than the general population. And so for many of us, we live in this area. Think about what you can do to break out of that cycle and come back to center, so you'll make better decisions and build better products and solve problems more elegantly in ways that people actually want them to be solved, so that you can have a huge impact and take your brilliance out and change the world. So let's finish up today with top 3 list for your day today. This is from the prepared category in my Design a Morning Routine worksheet. This comes from Module 5 in the Peakability Training Program here at Founders First System. And let's just take a moment to think about your top 3 list for today. What are the 3 most important things you can be working on as you begin your day today? Take a moment in your mind to just think of what those might be. You can close your eyes if you're sitting still. If you have a sheet of paper and you want to write them down, that might be fine. These are the most important things, not the things that you're most emotional about or most worried about. The first things that pop up into the mind aren't always the exact right things to choose. take a moment to just think about what number 1, number 2, and number 3 are in your mind that you could work on today in order to have the impact that you want to have. Someone very brave posted in the Founders First community this morning that they felt overwhelmed. Just that. And a couple other founders and entrepreneurs immediately jumped in and shared tips and tools that have worked for them, or just shared their sympathy and their ability to relate to that experience of feeling overwhelmed. And so this is a great opportunity to, if you're feeling overwhelmed as well right now, to prioritize. What are the top 3 things you need to get done today? And if they're big, or if they're even medium-sized, getting all 3 of these done today would be incredible, would move you so far forward. And since they're the most important things, you're working on the right things. You don't need to worry about the next 50 that we all have on our plates, because those aren't the top 3. You'll work on them later when you have time and when you get there. So hopefully you've got a good top 3 list in your head right now, or written down on paper so you can put it into your schedule for today and even for the rest of this week. So we've taken a moment to get our minds and our bodies calm, positive, and prepared. We did 10 clearing breaths. We talked about the mania experience and how it can often lead us astray as entrepreneurs, and how to start to check that experience and that rise so that we don't go up to hallucinations and delusions and make really bad decisions in the moment, but instead we use the excitement and the momentum to build things and design things that are going to have a huge impact on the world. So thank you so much for joining me for Morning Prime today. My name is Aaron Houghton, and I shared a couple tools from the Founders First system today. Those come from our Peak Ability Training digital course that's now live inside of the Founders First Community app. So search for Founders First Community in the App Store on your phone, or go to community.foundersfirstsystem.com to set up a free account and to begin to be part of this conversation of founders talking about their mental health and performance. Thanks for joining me today. Have a great day.